Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel Just Immigration News. We hope you're doing great! In this video we're going to talk about DHS announcing changes to asylum rules that will make it harder to obtain asylum and speed up deportations at the border. The Department of Homeland Security has unveiled a significant overhaul to its asylum policies, marking a major shift in how the U.S. handles requests for asylum. This new set of rules aims to tighten the criteria for obtaining asylum and expedite deportations at the border. As these changes take effect, they promise to reshape the landscape of asylum in the United States, raising concerns and questions about their impact on vulnerable populations seeking refuge. If you are interested in this, so to get all the information, pay attention and watch the video through to the end. Please hit like and subscribe, and don't forget to push the notification bell for an upcoming video. So, without any further delay, let's jump into the video. The Department of Homeland Security announced changes to its asylum policy at the U.S.-Mexico border on Thursday. The administration has given federal agents broad discretionary powers to deny asylum to foreigners who pose a threat to U.S. public and national security. The Biden administration announced new restrictions on asylum policy on Thursday, granting federal immigration agents more discretion to reject asylum applications and speed up deportations. This rule would allow DHS to more quickly remove those who are subject to the bans and pose a risk to our national security or public safety, the office said in a statement this afternoon. The changes, which had been under consideration for months and were acknowledged by Biden during an exclusive interview in March, are part of a White House strategy to reduce the crisis at the southern border, which in the last 3 years has seen record numbers of arrests, discoveries, deportations, referrals to immigration courts, and successful illegal crossings. The crisis has also highlighted the federal government's lack of response capacity to handle more than 6 million arrests at the border, where in most cases foreigners are fleeing their countries for various reasons and seeking asylum in the United States. The DHS also said that federal law prohibits asylum and withholding of removal for individuals who pose a risk to national security or public safety, specifically those who have been convicted of a particularly serious crime, engaged in the persecution of others, or inadmissible for national security or terrorism-related reasons, or for whom there are reasonable grounds to believe they are a danger to the security of the United States. She added that while anyone deemed to pose a threat to public safety is detained, the determination of eligibility for asylum is not currently made until a later stage in the process at the merits adjudication stage of asylum and withholding of removal applications. But today's proposed rule will allow asylum officers to consider these asylum bars and withholding of removal during the initial credible fear assessment, which occurs within days after a person is encountered. On Wednesday, press reports said the administration was preparing to announce changes to asylum policy on the southern U.S. border with Mexico and speed up the process of expelling foreigners without a legal cause to remain in the country. The announcement of changes for asylum. The changes were announced by the Department of Homeland Security (DHS) on its website. The new rule allows federal border patrol agents to determine whether or not a person has a cause for asylum, or to decide whether the detained individual represents a threat to the public and national security of the United States. The proposed rule we released today is another step in our ongoing efforts to ensure the safety of the American public by more quickly identifying and removing those individuals who pose a security risk and have no legal basis to remain here. Said Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, "We will continue to take action, but fundamentally only Congress can fix what everyone agrees is a broken immigration system. If the decision leads to denying entry, the alien will be expeditiously deported. Cases in which the agent determines that there is probable cause for credible fear will be handled by an asylum agent from the Immigration Service, who will then decide whether or not to refer the case to an immigration court. Current laws and regulations state that if an individual requests asylum and expresses credible fear, the case is referred to an immigration judge, who will decide his or her future in the country. The immigration court has more than 3.4 million cases backlogged, and on average each case takes between 3 and 4 years to be resolved or complete the due process. The new asylum rule also details that DHS continues to enforce the legal pathway circumvention rule, a tool that incentivizes the use of orderly processes and imposes quicker consequences for those who do not have a legal basis to remain in the United States. The U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, one of 23 agencies operating under DHS, also issued revised guidance Thursday for asylum officers to consider whether an asylum applicant could reasonably relocate to another part of the country where persecution is feared when evaluating claims of future persecution in all credible fear cases. Internal relocation has always been part of an analysis of future damages claims, and this new guidance, consistent with the CLP rule, will ensure the early identification and removal of individuals who would ultimately be ineligible for protection due to their ability to remain safely relocated elsewhere in the country from which they fled, he said. Biden administration criticizes asylum changes. Lawyers consulted by News said the announcement was expected at any time, because the government was under a lot of pressure to stop the crisis of asylum cases that we have been seeing at the border for several years, said Jamie Barron, an immigration lawyer who practices in Dallas, Texas. What we have to see now is that the government, with these changes, does not begin to deny cases and increase deportations unfairly, that the modifications affect people who may have a viable case to request asylum in the United States. He added, "We must prevent unfair mass deportations." For his part, Stephen Yale Lower, a professor of immigration law at Cornell Law School and co-author of a major 22-volume series on immigration law, said the new rule to more quickly deny asylum to some immigrants soon after they cross the border is much more limited than previous ideas that were floated previously, such as executive action preventing certain people from even entering the United States. And he warned that the measure will be challenged in the courts of law, while the changes will address when asylum seekers may be determined to be ineligible for asylum. Yale Loher said the bans authorized during the initial credible fear assessment stage will be the subject of a court challenge. The Biden administration is between a rock and a hard place. Anything the administration tries to do on immigration will be challenged in court, but the public is demanding change on immigration. The Biden administration seems damned if it tries to do anything to solve the border crisis, and damned if it doesn't, he warned. Why are they making these changes to the asylum now? In mid-April, News reported that Biden planned to use executive power to close the border and thereby stop the crossing of undocumented immigrants from the Mexican side, but the plans were taking longer than expected. While there has been a slight decline in Border Patrol findings at the border since March, the number of findings or arrests so far this fiscal year is a cause for concern for both the White House and the Department of Homeland Security. For their part, the Republicans are not giving up on their strategy of making the issue of immigration a key element of the November election, where Biden will once again face Donald Trump, who has promised to reinstate his controversial zero-tolerance immigration policy from day one if he wins the election. In addition to changes to asylum policy, the president also has a border closure in the cards. Biden said he had suggested to his top advisors that they use executive power by signing an executive order that includes a border closure to stop the illegal crossing of foreigners. I suggested that, he said, we are looking at whether I have that power or not. I would have that power under the law, he added, explaining that the closure would occur when the border has more than 5,000 people a day trying to cross it, because you can't manage it. As the DHS implements these sweeping changes to asylum rules, the landscape for those seeking protection in the U.S. is set to undergo a dramatic transformation, while the administration argues that these measures are necessary for border security and efficiency. Advocates and critics alike are bracing for the potential repercussions on asylum seekers. The coming months will be crucial in assessing the real-world impacts of these new policies and whether they will achieve their intended goals or exacerbate existing challenges in the asylum process. That is all for today in this video. What are your thoughts on this? Please let us know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching the entire video. Hopefully the information is useful to you. See you later in the next video. Till then, take care.
Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel Just Immigration News. We hope you're doing great. In this video, we're going to talk about DHS announcing changes to asylum rules that will make it harder to obtain asylum and speed up deportations at the border. On Thursday, the Department of Homeland Security announced significant changes to its asylum policy at the US-Mexico border. The new rules grant federal immigration agents greater discretion to deny asylum claims and expedite deportations for individuals deemed to a threat to national security and public safety. This video is part of the Biden administration's broader strategy to address the crisis at the southern border, which has seen record number of arrests, deportation, and illegal crossings in recent years. The updated policy allows DHS to quickly remove those who are subject to bans due to the risk to national security or public safety. This includes individuals convicted of serious crimes, those engaged in persecution, or those deemed inadmissible for terrorism-related reasons. Unlike previous procedures, where asylum eligibility was assessed later in the process, the new rules enable asylum officers to consider these disqualifications during the initial credible fear assessment, which occurs shortly after a person is encountered. The changes also involve a revised approach to determining whether asylum seekers could reasonably relocate within their home country to avoid persecution. This adjustment aims to ensure early identification and removal of those who could be safely relocated. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas emphasized that the new rule is intended to enhance public safety and address the broken immigration system, though he acknowledged that only Congress can fully resolve the underlying issues. Critics, including immigration lawyers and legal experts, have raised concerns over the potential for unfair denials and mass deportations. They worry that the new rules might not adequately consider individual circumstances and could face legal challenges. The Biden administration's action come amid ongoing pressure to manage border security effectively and address a high volume of cases. As the policy takes effect, its impact on asylum seekers and its ability to achieve its intended goals will be closely watched. The evolving situation reflects broader debates over immigration and border control, especially in the lead up to the upcoming presidential election.